tell me about your childhood upbringing. Were you a Christian your whole life? Were you kind of routed and grounded in Christianity, or was this something that came later in life? What did it look like?
Yeah, so at the time when I was young, I thought I was a Christian. My mom would take me to like vacation Bible school. So I would go for the fun, like little kid games and like memorizing Bible verses to win awards and candies and just play. It was like playtime with kids and it was just God centered. So at that time, I thought, yeah, I was a Christian just going to church on Sundays or on Wednesday nights. But as I grew up, I definitely was not living that Christian life. So my mom took me to
Wow.
like that vacation Bible school for about 3 years. But then as I got older and kind of became more of like middle school age and high school age, I definitely drifted away from that.
Wow, and that's definitely it's interesting when you have that foundation, right? Because now you get to see other families and other children, kind of, and you see the dynamics within those. But like you mentioned, you said it was kind of just the outer shell was Christianity, but not the inner shell. So kind of talk about that, Nicole. What happened leading into kind of your middle age years, middle teen years, if you will? Did you have a falling away then?
Yes, certainly. So I knew of a God. I knew that my mom would take me and I enjoyed it. But I never knew Christ or like Jesus or God for my own relationship and my own self. I just went because my mom would take me. So as soon as I kind of went into, becoming a little bit older in middle school, I definitely drifted away. I actually grew up and I moved around a lot growing up. So I've lived in two different countries and I've lived in three different states. And I went to nine different schools growing up. So unfortunately,
Wow.
it came with some strengths and some weaknesses. I did have to move. So I was always a new girl in school. I always had to make new friends. And that allowed me to be very personable, very friendly. But it also allowed me to mold into the expectations of what everyone else wanted me to.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was always having to try to fit in. I always had to kind of find my own way. And I realized that later on that also created some trust issues and abandonment issues and things like that because I never really had those lifelong friends and those roots. So as I got into middle school and high school, I definitely lost myself in wanting to please other people. I started doing drugs at a really young age of 13. I started dating girls. I start just completely whatever it is that people wanted to do or people considered fun or popular or good time at that time, I would do. And unfortunately, I just kind of went with the flow of the expectation of everyone else, and I had no moral backing.
Wow. So you basically just molded to your situation, whether it's one school doing one thing and then you transition again and some other, cliques are doing other things and you're just trying to really just trying to fit in. And I mean, we all understand that from the world perspective, but it was still kind of hardening your heart in a way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine kids nowadays, but I can relate when I was younger of we're all just trying to find our own way, finding who we are as a child and finding our identity as we go through puberty and maturing and all that those fun stages in life that I was just looking in all the wrong places. I never went back to that church foundation. I never went back to having like a moral compass, that
Oh,
I was
wow.
just finding my identity in all the wrong places.
Hmm. And so then how was your family dynamic? Because were your family kind of more of a centered, grounded Christian family that attended church and continued with that at home at least? Or was it kind of a split?
So my parents themselves are split, and my family backing is very Latin, so they're very Catholic. They
Wow.
grew up in that realm, but for some reason, my mom just had it in her. Even though she also grew up Catholic, she didn't want to raise us Catholic. She said that she just wanted to try something different. She never really felt that connection, so she just branched off and she went into the branch of Christianity, but also more Baptist. So I grew up more like
Mm.
Baptist, but also just a branch of Christianity. And that's it. Like that little few years that I had in vacation Bible school and like summer camps and things like that, like maybe 5 years was all the church history, all the church background of like
Oh, wow.
memorizing just a few Bible verses to win some prizes and candy. Like I never
Huh.
actually opened a Bible for myself, or I never actually seeked for myself other than my mom taking me when I was young.
Wow. Okay. So with that foundation and you're kind of bouncing around in middle school, did you end up settling down on one specific area, or that wasn't until you kind of left school after, middle school slash high school? did you found more of a foundation at that point instead of bopping around all the time?
I wish. Unfortunately, I still bopped around a good amount. My mom found out of how troublesome I was becoming. I was
Mhm.
becoming super rebellious in every area. So she thought that taking me to a Christian private school would help. But unfortunately, that rebellious spirit and those behaviors kind of followed me there. And I just kind of
Mhm.
created ruckus and trouble like kind of wherever I went. So I even in a private Christian school, and I received very little teachings of like the word.
Yeah.
I just kind of found the trouble there, or if not, like I would create some kind of rebellion or trouble or
Hmm.
hecticness. So that happened, and I was kind of like a little bit of a pivotal moment because I knew what I was doing was wrong because I had again I was being reflected to what was right, but I still chose what was wrong and what was fun and what was troublesome. And then my family
Mhm.
actually moved to the state of Michigan. So I lived there for a few years and same behavior, same patterns, same everything kind of transitioned over there. Just I thought the lifestyle was just kind of following me over there, but really it was what was in me and those morals and what was I was allowing. I already opened the door to those behaviors and those spirits that really just were within me, and I was feeding them more and more and more. So now
Wow.
I finished high school in the state of Michigan, and I was still partying, doing drugs. I was actually doing dual enrollment while in middle school, and even as a as a high schooler, I was doing college classes. And I started actually selling drugs to the college kids as I was in high school because I was going to all these college parties as a high schooler, not having to be in high school because I didn't have to necessarily be like on campus. I was always more at a college campus. And that just opened more doors of now like drinking and different harder drugs and just different crowds. And wherever I was, I don't know why, I just kind of steered more towards that party lifestyle. I was sneaking out. It was just very toxic, and I thought I was doing all the right things because I had good grades. I was doing sports. I was in dual enrollment. I thought I was popular at the time. Like I thought I had friends, and come to realize all those people that I thought were my friends I don't talk to anymore. All those things that I thought mattered then, that I wrapped my identity around, none of that matters now. And I realized that I was wrapping my identity in all the wrong things.
Wow. So it sounds like nothing really, I guess the pivotal changes happened when you started bouncing around during that, I would say 13 years old and onwards. Once you started really getting that moral compass, the world started really taking you by storm, it seems like, Nicole, and then you never really looked back. You just kept getting progressively
Yeah.
into the party scene, into the popularity, the sports, keeping things within the realm of the world, but
Yeah.
you never looked at faith as an object. You never looked at any kind of relationship with any kind of God. It just seems like you were just living your life, having fun at that point. But the things, did you ever get a sense of a faith at that point, or did it seem so far from you, you just never thought about it until later?
Mhm. Yeah, truly, I never thought about it. Like my own, what I would say, I thought I was invincible. Like I thought everything, I was never caught for anything. I thought nothing could
Mm,
touch me. I thought I was technically like my own God. Like whatever I wanted, I would get, or if not, I would find a way to go get it, because
yeah.
I had no rules. My mom knew a lot of it. As much as she tried to kind of discipline me, I would just sneak around or find my way.
Mm,
And actually, when I was 18, I had the decision of choosing where I wanted to go to college. And something in me knew that if I stayed in the state of Michigan, it's actually so cold there that all people do to stay warm is just drink alcohol because it is cold almost the whole year. So I knew that the patterns and the lifestyle that I was living was not creating good habits in me. And when you're 18, you kind of reflect a little bit of where you want to go to college. And I reflected and I was like, you know what? I actually hate the cold. I hate the lifestyle that I'm living here. These friends aren't really serving me that well. I miss my Florida friends. I miss the beach. I miss the lifestyle. So I actually chose to leave my family that was in Michigan, and I moved in with a friend, and I lived in her living room for about a year, just so that way I could move out by myself and live with back in Florida. So I
mm,
moved to Florida, and at that point, I was still partying and doing all the wrong things, but I was so caught up in going to college. I was working two jobs and I was starting to pay my own bills. So I didn't necessarily have the funds or the time to be as crazy as I used to be, but I was still trying to keep up and I was still trying to do it all on my own that I never necessarily like seeked help. I thought I could do it all on my own. And then it wasn't until I actually turned 21 that my mom actually, it's so funny, we have a photo, but my mom gives me her birthday card to me when I turned 21, and it says, "No more fake IDs." And I actually turned in my fake IDs to her as she gives me her birthday card to me, and I turned in 5 fake IDs. And that just comes to show you, like, I was under different names, different photos. Like, I had no idea who I was. I was trying to pretend to be all the wrong people. And I actually turned it into her, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I want to be like, I just turned 21, but I actually want to be done drinking altogether. Like, I want to be done doing drugs altogether, even though that's finally the age that you can legally drink. I was like, I've been there, I've done that.